right, good day. We are back for another superb edition of Clay Sports, where we give you all the breakdown of everything trending at the Africa Cup of Nations going on in Cote d'Ivoire. We saw the Super Eagles putting up an almost a perfect performance, and they got the result needed. We'll be looking at that game and the implication on the Group A teams, as Nigeria is back in contention to get out of that group. Not only getting out of that group, but topping that group. We'll be looking at all of the consequences. Olusola Adebayo is my name. I won't be doing this alone as usual. I have with me in the studio Samson Oloede El Principe.
Thank you very much for having me. It's good to be here again. And yes, it's all about the Super Eagles and what they were able to achieve against the Ivorians.
Yes, of course, Nigerians were happy. Ivorians were very sad. A public holiday was declared. Everybody moved to the stadium. Go and give this team your 100% support. At the end of the day, the players and the entire team of Cote d'Ivoire tried, but the resilience of Super Eagles made the difference. We'll be talking about these and many other more, as Oloede is loaded with lots of breakdown analysis of what went down in that game.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm fired up. There's a whole lot to talk about, not just from the Super Eagles perspective, but also the Ivorians. And the win now sets up a very interesting group because, you know, you have Equatorial Guinea on 4 points, the Super Eagles as well on 4 points, and the Ivorians on 3 points. So it's all to play for, talking about the final round of matches in that group.
And that makes that group very interesting to follow. And that's what we'll be doing, trying to see who can go out and who can stay on the competition. We'll also be looking at the peculiar situation of the Black Stars of Ghana. It seems they have the stars in their squad, but they are not getting the result. We'll check on that team that last won in 1982, and now they are still searching for another glory. At the time, very close, but the last time edition, they went out in the first round. They are faced with another serious situation of crashing out in the first round again, having threw away 2-goal lead against, having threw away lead twice against Egypt, a game I think they could have won and put the pressure on the Egyptians, but now the pressure is on them. They are still looking for their first victory in that group. Let's see what will happen as we come back from this break, where we'll be looking at what Nigerians and Ivorians were saying after that game, as Said captured the moment for us.
I left Nigeria yesterday to be here because of this match, and I was in Saudi here throughout the whole match, and I was more than happy.
And we won.
And we won.
We won. We won. Up Super Eagles. We win.
Super Eagles.
We win. The cup is ours. The cup is ours. Up
Eagles.
Super Eagles. The cup is ours.
I came all the way from Nigeria for the purpose of watching this game.
Wow.
And I'm happy that I am part of the history. Our Super Eagles did very well, and the Elephants also tried their best. And let me just mention here that the Ivorians are a very hospitable people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, I am Vivian Ona, and I reside here in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire.
Wow.
This evening I'm so excited because Nigeria has made us proud.
I feel very happy because the mocking in Cote d'Ivoire is too much in my area, in Tresby. Even this morning, they are booing me everywhere. So I'm happy for Nigeria, 100%. I'm grateful in Nigeria performance today.
Báwo lè ṣe rí match sí?
Match is the one interested. Agbádùn rẹ̀ pé inú wa dùn. Tó tún bọ̀ náà kọ́lọ̀ tó bá fún kọ́lọ̀ bá fún ọ lọ́wọ́.
Bọ̀gbà tá a fẹ́ bá àwọn ará bíi Ivory Coast play, ṣé ẹ̀yin rò bóyá a lè náwó ni?
Ó ṣùọ̀, wà náà wọ́n ni. Ó ṣùọ̀, kódà àti post yẹn gẹ́gẹ́ káàkiri tó dé play. Ó dá wa lójú.
I'm happy to see that today we are visiting to host, and I just want to assure Nigerians that this is the beginning. This is the beginning of good things to come for Nigerian football. By the grace of God, we will do it again. As we say, let's do it again.
And not give for anybody.
By the grace of God, we're going to do it again.
A word for Nigerian fans, sir. A word for Nigerian
The word
fans,
for
sir.
them is that to just remain focused and continue to pray for the Super Eagles. By the grace of God, we are going to not be disappointed.
actually, it's a good game, but I mean, we lost, so I can't really say it was a good game, right? But I really want to congratulate you guys. You guys actually played well, but the penalty was a little bit soft, though. To me, it's a competitive game. You shouldn't even call that a penalty. But anyways, it is what it is. Hopefully, we have a better game next game.
Okay, how far do you see Nigeria can go in this competition?
Oh, I don't know. But I think you guys are going to go at least the semi-final, right?
Did you actually, coming to this game, did you actually believe Nigeria could defeat Cote d'Ivoire?
Actually, no. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I actually thought since we're home, we're going to whoop you guys.
So,
all right, welcome back to the show. It's still Clear Sports, and we are back to give you the detailed analysis of what went down in that game. Samson, the Super Eagles came up with a different formation in this game. Is it because Ali Hassan Yusuf wasn't available for that game, or because the coach looked at the best formation that can beat the Ivorians?
Apparently, the best formation that can beat the Ivorians, no doubt about it. It has nothing to do with a certain personnel. You know, it's all about the team as a whole. But when you look at the game itself, yes, the tactics thrown out was a 3-4-3 on paper, but we know quite well that was a 5-4-1 in terms of how it was deployed for a low block. And that was probably the reasonable thing to do when you're taking on the Ivorians. In terms of the battle in the midfield, there's no way the Super Eagles would have out-muzzled the Ivorians, you know, with a two-man midfield as well. Exactly. So it was more about the physicality and ensuring that you hit on the counter-attack. And when you have the pace of, you know, Chukwueze and Ademola, you know, on the flanks, Lukman, as well as Osimhen up front, that gives you something going in terms of hitting on the break. So it was all about containing the physicality of the Ivorians in that middle, and I think he did that so well with how, you know, he slotted in. Calvin Bassey came in, and you also had, you know, an introverted, you know, fullbacks who could easily collapse back for a five-man defense, as it were. So it was a master stroke, you want to say.
Wow, that was the first time I'll be seeing Jose Pesaro's team playing with full commitment. Is it because it's a competition of this magnitude, or they felt the chances of losing that game is high on their side? For the first time in a long while, Nigeria is not going into a game as the favorite. Can that play a role in the way the players approach that game?
Well, it's difficult to say they approached it because they were not the favorites or the underdogs as they were now. I think it was more of knowing that qualification was on the line. A loss to the Ivory Coast would have definitely spelled them, especially since Equatorial Guinea won, you know, just before Nigeria's match. So it was all to play for them. Everything was on the line. Qualification, you talk about pride, considering the rivalry between both sides. You know, it encompasses a whole lot. I think for the Super Eagles, they also knew quite well that, you know, they needed this match. They needed to win this to be able to build on it. And usually the slogan is Nigeria grows into the competition. They do not start very well as it were. Remember in 2013, when we won the African Cup of Nations, we drew 2 of our group games. So it's all about growing and believing and, you know, getting better as the competition progresses. And I think that's what we saw, you know, on Thursday.
I think it's better to start slowly than pick it up and brush things up, improve on your games as we go by. It reminds me of 2013 that you mentioned, when the Super Eagles drew their first 2 games, very lethargic performance in those first 2 games. The last one, it was scrappy. You have to rely on a late win penalty to skate through, but afterwards, it was the same Ivorian that paved the way for Super Eagles. Very bravery performance that time out, and we are able to take it up to this, the semi-finals and win the cup. Maybe it's going to work, because the last time we started like an on fire at the last edition, after first 3 wins, when it mattered most, they crashed out of the competition. All right, let's look at the group now. Equatorial Guinea is leading with 4 points based on the fact that they scored freely against the other Guinea. 4 goals to 2. We saw Emile Unzue with 3 goals, the first hat-trick from a 34-year-old. That's the oldest man to score a hat-trick in the history of the competition. And what that says about goal scoring in this competition? The stars, in quote, now are not getting the goals.
Yeah, the stars are not getting the goals, and that's probably worrisome for various teams. Yes, African footballer of the year Victor Osimhen scored in the opening game, but
And misses
the major
lots of
concerns,
chances
exactly.
afterwards.
The number of chances is missed over 2 games is definitely worrisome. He should probably have 3-4 goals or more to his name by now, going by his lofty standards of being a clinical
And the
finisher.
kind of chances Nigeria has created for him.
So that's a major concern. You look at the Ghanaians, for example, the same thing with them. Aside Mohamed Kudus, who got the brace against Egypt, the stars are not getting the goals
Mohamed
for them.
Salah is also struggling
Salah
already.
had to score from the spot. So a whole lot of top stars are yet to probably get into their rhythm in terms of, getting goals for their various teams. But I also think for all of the, concerns we raise about attackers not scoring goals, we should also give credit to the opposing teams and how they defended against these superstars.
Okay, so Nigeria is second in that group with 4 goals, with 4 points and plus 1 goal. Equatorial plus 2 goal difference separates both Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea, while Cote d'Ivoire on plus 1 as well, but 3 points. So they need to beat Guinea to just qualify, just win that game and qualify. That's talking about Equatorial Guinea, while Nigeria just have to do the job too against Guinea. It seems 3 teams will qualify from this group, from what I've seen.
Against Guinea-Bissau, you
Yeah,
might.
yeah, against
Guinea-Bissau are the big whipping boys of the team, so it's relatively easy for the Super Eagles to win that and probably have 7 points and possibly top the group. For their Ivory Coast against Equatorial Guinea, that's one to watch out for because it's all at stake.
A draw can see both of them through.
Definitely, I think they won't be playing for a draw. That's something you need to look out for. The host nation, the Ivorians, will want to go for a win there, but Equatorial Guinea are definitely a formidable side as well. They will prove a hard nut to
You
crack.
actually picked that from my mouth because I was wondering how formidable is Equatorial Guinea. It seems the Super Eagles make them look good the first time, but yes, when they play against Guinea-Bissau, we saw what they can do on a very free level playing field against a team like Guinea-Bissau.
I think for Equatorial Guinea, they're another kind of side that you would reckon with as possibly a tier B side when it comes to African football. When you talk about the top tier in African football, you can mention Nigeria, Ghana, Egypt, and the like Senegal. The B tier will probably encompass Mali, Tunisia. So Equatorial Guinea is not in that ranks, but they're a team that can definitely always prove to be a banana slip for some of these big teams. I'm all up for what the final round of matches would hold in the group itself.
Okay, so from the 2 of us, we agree that 3 teams might likely get out of Group A, where we have Equatorial Guinea, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, and Guinea-Bissau. Now, let's talk about the strength of these Nigerian teams, but that will be after going on this break as we'll look at can this team go all the way, having satisfied all righteousness of qualifying from this group.
It's the biggest soccer fiesta in Africa.
It's AFCON 2023.
Watch the feels and the thrills, the drums and the vuvuzelas.
What fans' reaction from the stands?
Join our team of sports experts and analysts as we dissect the pre- and post-match analysis of every match in Côte d'Ivoire.
Watch the highlights of the 34th African Cup of Nations on Clear Sports, brought to you by Clear TV Nigeria.
Showing on Heritage TV every Monday, Thursday and Saturday at 5 p.m.
For sponsorship and advert placement, please call 090-6000-2205 or 080-3303-4488.
Clear Sports. Let's do it again.
All right, we are back once again, and we'll be looking at the Super Eagles and how far they can go. We've seen them and in 2 matches, and by now we can now form an opinion that is informed about how far they can go. I didn't see this team crashing out in the round of 16. I don't want them to crash out. But let's talk about the nitty-gritty. Can we look at our attack once again? Going to this competition, we said the attack is our biggest strength. Yes. But from look of things, is not living up to expectation.
Well, it's not, and that's for certain reasons. You know, we talked about the profligacy of Victor Osimhen in front of goal. That's something that needs to be worked on. He needs to get the confidence back. I like the fact that he gets into these positions, you know, to put himself at those
The
positions where
pressure
he
is
gets to
building on
score.
him.
But the point is, he's not clinical, and this is not the Osimhen we see at Napoli. So he needs to do more. Is he getting into the right positions? Yes. It's all about, you know, directing his shots on target and trying to get the goals. That's where, you know,
So
the
it's
issue
been
is. It's all about finishing for
yeah,
Osimhen.
yeah.
My concern is for someone like Samuel Chukwueze, whose final, you know, ball
Pass.
decision making is ridiculous. He plays for one of the top teams in Europe, you know, talking about AC Milan. You would expect him to do more. He was the best African player in La Liga last season with Villarreal before making a move to the Italian side. But his final ball making decisions are terrible. He needs to do more. Ademola Lookman is doing so well, played so well. You could make a case for him as, you know, man of the match against the Ivorians, considering how well he played. So I really don't have concerns per se going forward. I think it's all about the defensive aspect of things. Down the spine of the team where major concerns were before, I think there's a bit of reassurance now. The goalkeeper, Omar Bali, looks like a formidable goalkeeper that can be relied on after subpar performances from Francis Uzoho and Maduka Okoye over the years. The defensive pairing as well, we saw Ekong against, you know, the Ivorians solid as well. And then the defensive midfield, you know, no Ndidi, Alassane Yusuf came on board. He played so well. Unfortunately, got injured. That's probably the only area of concern in the team right about now. I think Olaino had a very good game against the Ivorians as well.
Okay, so I'll still want to take on the attack. If Osimhen couldn't finish his ball, the final ball, getting into positions is no problem, but putting at the back of the net has been an issue. Can we risk diverting or diversing the pressure on him by letting him come in from the bench? Can that work? Because I remember it works for Asisa Toshuala with the Super Falcons. He has never had a bad spell like this with the Super Eagles. I'm talking about Victor Osimhen, especially under Yusuf Pesero. Very clinical in front of goals, but this competition started and it's not been so good for him. I can see it on his face that something is troubling his mind.
Well, difficult to tell. I think the coaches will be the ones to tell us what exactly is going on with him, but definitely they won't also want to spill that to the media, as it were. Again, for Osimhen, the body language shows that he's willing, you know, to be part of the game. You see him with his pressing game. We see him get into very good positions, make those decent runs behind the defenders. The only concern is he's not finishing. So it's probably a training session thing. Just work more on finishes and try to get your shots on target. In the first match against Equatorial Guinea, there were about 4 chances spawned. The same thing against the Ivorians, about 3 of them. So it's all about just getting the nick. And for strikers like that, once they're able to get that confidence in front of goal back, getting a goal too, before you know it becomes 3 and 4, and they pick up from there.
Okay, he just needs to get the second goal and confidence comes back at his peak. All right, in the attack we have Kelechi Iheanacho is there to be tested. Paul Onuachi, decent game against Cote d'Ivoire, was able to manage out that attack for us, while Terry Murphy also is in there. Probably the Super Eagles coach will work on those guys and allow them to start scoring. They've scored just 2 goals in this competition so far, which is still not a bad return, but considering the number of chances created, it's not looking good. But the midfield, nobody's talking about creating midfielder again.
Well, you know, traditionally the role for the number 10 is seemingly extinct because most teams play 4-3-3 and they have a way of tweaking it and all of that. So you do not have that you know, diamond shape where you play like a 4-1-2, you know, 4-3-2 and all of that. Exactly. I think the issue is for Nigeria, we rely more on Alex Iwobi to do that part. You know, but against the Ivorians, he had 2 halves of the game. The first half, he was seemingly more defensive-minded. But in the second half, we saw some of those offensive runs and plays from Iwobi. And I think that's where he flourishes the more, when he's able to do that offensively. You look at his days at Everton, yes, he had a decent spell there. But considering how defensive-minded Everton as a team plays, you know, they couldn't get the best out of him. I think it will be probably is the one that would have to fit in there. There's still Joe Aribo, who we've seen in the Premier League over the years, you know, also play so well in that role. The question is, will Pesero prefer Aribo to Iwobi? That's left for is you know, for the coach to make.
And there's still Ali Azan somewhere around the midfield. So it seems the coach have a lot of decisions to make and nip everybody into a one piece and give us something massive going forward as far as. But with what we've seen so far, we've seen teams played already. How can you rate this Super Eagles? 2013, nobody gave them any chance.
Yeah.
I believe this squad is even a bit better than the 2013 squad, but they later went all the way and won. Can this team do it as they claim they want to do it again?
Well, it's difficult. It's difficult to tell. You know, you have to look at all of the stats. It's against the team. The win against Ivory Coast was their first competitive win, you know, since September 2023.
Wow.
They had a 4-game winless streak prior to the win against Ivory Coast. So the stats are not, you know, or the stars now are not aligning in their favor in that regard. Having said that, you can always tell that there's always a chance for every team, especially the big guys, to get it done. You know, let's just see how they
So we
fare.
have to wait and see.
Personally, but you have to reckon with the fact that the likes of Senegal, Morocco
are still a bit ahead of them.
Not a bit, way ahead of them.
All right, Samson, no problem. When the expectation is low, the Super Eagles always strive. I don't know whether it's a myth or it's just something we just want to believe.
Niger spirit, they say.
All right, let's look at Black Stars. They are our neighbors. We share the same hotels. The last Nations Cup, and now they are sharing the same hotels with us. We arrived in Côte d'Ivoire the same day. They went in with their traditional attires. We also went in with our own Mola style attires as well. But things are not going their way. You expect it seems they could have defeated Egypt, but something happened. It doesn't just work for them. Their players, they are supposed to be scoring goals for them, provided the 2 assists. 2 strikers. Iñaki was removed after he provided that first assist. The person that replaced him also did the same thing, and the coach was almost going crazy that 2 free goals were given to the Egyptians, and now they are on the verge of not qualifying again.
That's the worry for, you know, the Ghanaians. The worry is simple. Defensively, they're in shambles, and this isn't. You can't lay the blame on the goalkeepers or the defenders. It's a general problem. Defensive shifts should be, you know, from everyone, including the strikers, because the first line of defense will be from the strikers when they lose the ball to press and try regain it before the opposing team are able to, you know, attack the Ghanaians. I think for Ghana, it's worrisome. Offensively, we know the talent is there. You talked about Inaki Williams. We see how well he plays for Athletic Bilbao in the Spanish La Liga. Mohamed Kudus, who got a brace against the Egyptian as well. I mean, we all see what he does with West Ham United, or at West Ham United rather. They have good players going forward, but defensively, that's where the frailties are. And here's the worrisome thing for Ghana. They considered 2 goals against Egypt. Yes, Egypt a big team. But they also considered 2 against Cape Verde. It means that they've considered 4 goals in 2 games.
Just 2 games.
Now, their last game is against Mozambique. Is it a winnable game? Absolutely. So they can have at least 4 points. But what's the assurance that they won't concede at least a goal against Mozambique? And that's where the worry lies. So
and Mozambique
it's a whole
almost
lot.
defeated
Egypt. So it's a whole lot for Chris Houghton going into this. Now, it must be said that this is their longest winless streak in the African Cup of Nations history.
Wow.
In the last, they've not won their last 6 games. They've drawn 3, lost 3. I said, you know, the last time that the last AFCON, Ghana finished last in a group that had Comoros and Gabon. So it's almost like deja vu again. I don't know what would change going into the game against Mozambique, but they need to shore up the midfield and defense, especially so that they do not ship in goals. You can't win a game when you're shipping in goals with ease or relative ease like that. You need to make it more difficult for your opponents to even get a goal. So offensively, yes, Kudus can win, you know, wield his magic and make it happen.
So
but
some people at the
defensively,
back
something
need to
has to
keep
happen.
it tight. All right, we'll see how it goes, and we'll see if the Black Stars can make it out of that group. They are just on a point, and no goal plus in terms of goal difference. They are still struggling to record any goal difference, and that takes them to the last point, number 4 in that group. Mozambique that still ahead of them, Egypt ahead of them, Cape Verde ahead of them, but we fear maybe it's going to go the way it was last time when they came to Cameroon in 2021. All right, Nigeria will play their last game against Guinea-Bissau. We expect the Super Eagles to have a better performance and score goals, more goals when they play on Monday. We'll be back to review everything that will be going down in that game, and we'll also be looking at other issues around the AFCON as we continue to monitor proceedings. Have a great time. Samson, it's been cool.
Thank you very much for having me.
Olusola Adebayo remains my name. Till next time, we're out of here.
It's the biggest soccer fiesta in Africa.
It's AFCON 2023.
Watch the feels and the thrills, the drums and the vuvuzelas.
What fans' reaction from the stands?
Join our team of sports experts and analysts as we dissect the pre- and post-match analysis of every match in Côte d'Ivoire.
Watch the highlights of the 34th African Cup of Nations on Clear Sports. Brought to you by Clear TV Nigeria.
Showing on Heritage TV every Monday, Thursday and Saturday at 5 p.m.
For sponsorship and advert placement, please call 090-6000-2205 or 080-3303-4488.
Clear Sports. Let's do it again.